Welcome to DBL. Okay, here's a question. A lot of us have our opinion on it. Are we doing enough to protect our kids and grandkids when they're online and using social media? Well, some of the biggest tech executives like Mark Zuckerberg from Meta, other CEOs from TikTok, X, Snapchat, and more, they're all testifying on Capitol Hill today. And they are answering questions from lawmakers about what they're doing to keep our kids safe from sexual exploitation online. In fact, here's what Senator Lindsey Graham had to say. Take a look.
Mr. Zuckerberg, you and the companies before us, I know you don't mean it to be so, but you have blood on your hands. You have a product. You have a product that's killing people.
Now, the CEOs all say that they are committed to keeping kids safe on their platforms and are outlining their safety measures. So what do you all think of this? Do you trust these companies to keep our kids safe, or do you think that the government can? What would you say, Jeff, with two kids?
This is a huge issue for me, and I've talked about it a lot on this show. I could talk about this for the whole show, but I think there's ways you can improve the internet as opposed to what's going on now, which is everybody just making billions of dollars. And they need to stop that, right? There's a bunch of things you could do. China has already figured it out, especially just for kids. They put on their TikTok from certain hours. So you're not jealous if your neighbor's kid is still on there. They shut off the app for their kids. You go on from this time to this time, that's it. It's all of its algorithms are filtered for positivity, for learning, for different things like that. On our internet, it's the Wild West. You could see people being beheaded. You could join the Taliban if you want. You could get in connections with far left and far right political groups, which absolutely influence what you're doing on social media. They need to regulate that somehow. And I understand people are going to say, whoa, 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 that's a freedom of speech. Make a button saying, I accept that I no longer have freedom of speech. And I want mine filtered to be more positive, not only for myself as a parent, because I deal with the mental struggles of what's going on social media, but for my kids as well when I'm not around, because I see them watching YouTube and there is some wild stuff. I'm like, what is happening? And I have a parental control, so everything slips through. The one thing that I've been saying on this, and I know people don't like this, license your social media. Have your driver license connected somehow to your social media, whatever it is, but you own it. So if you want to say something, or if you want to join the Taliban, or if you want to push far right or far left media and try to get me fired, guess what? You're getting fired because now you own it. And that takes away China, that takes away Russia, their farms that influence us. I could go on forever, but I'll let you guys talk.
Jeff, the question is, who's going to do that? Like, their business model is set up to...
How about someone with a conscience that runs these companies?
They need to be ethical, though, Al. They have to.
I don't know if the word ethics are anywhere in our Constitution, especially in the definition of capitalism. They're sure not. And that's why I told you, that's why none of you guys can be billionaires. You can't, Erica, you can't, Jeff, because when it comes to make the decision to sacrifice a couple thousand kids so that you can get another luxury yacht that people will oogle on Instagram, you don't have what it takes, Erica. You don't have what it takes, Jeff, to flood a city that has lost most of the jobs in there with a drug you know is going to get people addicted because everybody's in certain amounts of despair. You don't have what it takes. They do. They don't feel anything. And capitalism doesn't feel anything either. We live under a system of capitalism. The people who don't feel and a system that doesn't have feelings go hand in hand. So your ethics and your feelings and your kids and your empathy can all go shuffle off. And I love you guys. I'm like y'all. But you don't understand, they're not like us.
But you brought up money. Right. And this is going to end up hurting them because the cat's out of the bag now. We have data that show that social media addiction is a serious thing and that a lot of teens are being harmed. Some of them are committing suicide. Some of them are victim to sexual exploitation. So there's states like Florida who are proposing banning social media under the age of 16. That will hurt their bottom line. So if they do want to maybe not make as many billions in dollars, but it still be a very successful company, they need to understand that parents are now becoming more savvy and understand that their children are being harmed. And what you brought up, drugs. Drug dealers, what's the famous saying? Don't get high on your own supply.
Right.
In Silicon Valley, those executives do not use social media. They do not let their children use social media because they know it will harm their kids. Right. I think that alone says enough for me.
Let me push back a second, and then Erica, what if TikTok says, okay, well, we're not going to have TikTok in Florida? how will your constituents like that? A lot of your constituents run a business off of this. Then what leverage do the lawmakers in Florida have? Do you want to be the lawmaker that tells everybody in Florida there's no more TikTok? Do you want that on you?
I think we're missing a crucial part of this,
Talk to
and
us.
I think that we often miss it, whether it comes to when it comes to most things in our society, and that's called personal responsibility. We are so in a cycle of othering in terms of who's affected, how they're affected, and why they're affected. When the internet was first a thing, and we were all, teenagers, whatever, clamoring to get on the internet is where I saw the first male body part that I had never seen before, sent to me in a chat room. Why would I have received that? Well, according to a lot of people who are, people who are for the puritanical society, it was because I was a fast girl who was from a certain type of family, and my parents weren't able to, police what was happening in their household. Nevertheless, the fact that none of those things were actually true, but that's what happens when you other people. And there's a thing when it says, when they come for this person, will you stand up for them? When they come for that, will you stand up for them? But when they come for you, you want everybody to stand up for you. Now everyone's like, well, it's this person, it's this corporation, it's this CEO, it's you. We all have personal responsibility in everything that is happening on this planet. It's our inability to be inconvenienced by all of the things. It's like you got to pick and choose. You got to take the baby and the bathwater, because you can't be like, I love the fact that I can put my child in front of these things on the internet, but you aren't doing enough to police it. You can't say that I want to use all the good things and then I want to blame you for the bad. You have to take responsibility for both.
You do, but when these corporations are strategically creating algorithms to keep you clicking, and addiction is something that you can police all you want. At the end of the day, if you're addicted to something, you need real intervention and help in order to allow that person to be able to be a full human again.
Right. But
so I'm just saying that both can be true.
My point is, how did we get here? And if people can't take responsibility for our parts, myself included, we all played a part in this, of how we got to this, because there were so many indications that this was coming. Nobody cared because it didn't affect them. Now it does.
Right.
I will also say, to put the button on it, we are in a weird place where we've talked about it before. Everybody's mother and father has a job and a second and third and fourth jobs.
How do you
and a lot of
police it?
times, if you are doing your second gig, you do need that YouTube to watch your kid for 30 minutes while you're on a Zoom call at work. I don't know anybody that can shut their internet off at 5 o'clock and be a regular parent like this is the 1940s.
Why can't they just put a quick regulation button on there? You could still have the Wild West internet, but then if you just slide that button over, it's regulated somehow, and you're giving away rights to whoever it is to do that. That's all it is. Just slide it over.
There are solutions.
That's a thought.
Absolutely.
Exactly.